What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 11 of Cooking Around the Planet, the show where we learn about and cook a recipe from every single country until we've done them all. If you're new here, I'm Austin, that's my wife Jess, and as always, star of the show, Otto. My wife and I, and even Otto, share love for food, travel, and culture, and that's what this show is all about. So welcome into our kitchen. Last week, we had the opportunity to learn about the country of Burundi, a country we didn't even know about a week prior. We made Burundian mutaki, and man, it delivered. A super fresh meal that was a contender for our favorite meal of this entire series. So if you haven't had a chance, go check it out. But as always, with little time, we move forward to week 11. Last week, the bucket hat decided to send us somewhere unlike anywhere we've been before. If we were to take a flight from Burundi, we'd go straight north, and when we'd hit the Black Sea, we'd take a hard left and head west, say hi to our friends in Bulgaria, and we end up in the beautiful country of Serbia. We're excited for this episode, so let's get right into it. Alright, this week we are going to try our hand at making a dish called Sarma. It's a very popular dish in this part of the world. The English translation that I found, Sarma, translates to wrapped in, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be making cabbage rolls stuffed with ground beef, ground pork, carrots, onions. We're going to be making a pork stock, and these things are going to sit in that pork stock for 2 hours, and hopefully after those 2 hours we're gonna have ourselves a delicious meal. We want to give a shout out to the YouTube channel Teka Nadia. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. This is where we're getting this recipe from. She actually has her grandma on the show who is from Serbia, going through exactly how she makes sarma. We are super grateful for her sharing her knowledge about this dish, and we couldn't be more excited to give it a try. So you actually need pickled cabbage to make your stuffed cabbage rolls. Pickled cabbage takes about 4 months to make, and we couldn't find it at our local grocery store, but found a video that showed us how to speed up that process, and I'm going to show you what the result was. We peeled the leaves of the cabbage, and then we boiled them in water and a little bit of white vinegar, and that vinegar gives it that flavor that it would give if you were to pickle these. So by boiling them, not only does it give it the flavor, but it kind of makes them a little flimsier, so you can actually roll them, you know, and we should have ourselves a little sarma pocket. We're gonna set these aside for now, and we're gonna get started on the filling of the sarma. So, got a pretty big pot. We're gonna be using a lot of different types of meat, so you're gonna wanna have a lot of space. So, I got a little oil in a pan, and we're gonna go in with a whole white onion.
A whole white onion.
We're gonna go in with, this is about 4 strips of smoked bacon, chopped up.
Wow, that smells amazing.
Yeah, we can pretty much wrap this episode up and just eat this. All right, next we got about 3 cloves of garlic, just minced up. About 3 carrots shredded. Go right in with those. Off our last episode, this dish, everything fresh.
Nice.
Not one thing in this dish is not fresh. No preservatives. All right, we've been sauteing this for about 5 minutes, and now we're ready to go with the meat. We got some ground pork, and we got ground beef, a pound each. We're gonna go right in with this. And we merge. Meat, veggie merge. Pork, beef merge into a veggie merge.
Wow.
3 different merges here.
Iconic.
Worlds colliding.
I was just thinking, I don't think I've ever had bacon and carrots mixed together, but I'm here for it.
So while this browns up, I'm gonna send it over to Jess to maybe introduce you to the country of Serbia.
Serbia is a landlocked country in southeastern Europe. It shares borders with 8 different countries, with Hungary to the north, Romania to the northeast, Bulgaria to the southeast, and North Macedonia to the south, Montenegro to the southwest, with Bosnia and Herzegovina to the west, and Croatia to the northwest, and lastly, Kosovo to the south. Although Serbia doesn't recognize Kosovo as an independent country, but we'll get to that later. Serbia is a part of what is known as the Balkan region, which consists of 11 southeastern European countries. It's known as a peninsula, and it is surrounded by the Adriatic, Mediterranean, the Aegean, and the Black Sea. Serbia's capital and largest city is Belgrade, and it is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in not only Europe, but in the entire world. Starting back with the Venca culture, who lived there around 6000 BC. Serbia has a total population of about 6.7 million people, with 85% of the population being native Serbs. The largest minority group is made up of Hungarians at about 4% of the population, and then the remaining population is a mix of Bosniaks, Roma, Croats, and Albanian. Serbia's landmass is about 88,361 square kilometers, or about 34,000 square miles. Serbia has a very diverse landscape that includes fertile plains in the north, hilly and super mountainous regions in the central and southern parts, and extensive river systems, including the Danube, Sava, and Morava rivers.
All right, next step is we are just gonna season this up with a little bit of salt, some pepper, and paprika. Mix that in. There's not a ton of spices in this dish, and from what I was seeing, not a lot of spices in a lot of the food they eat. They let the food add the flavor. Because this alone, with the bacon and all the onion and the garlic, is going to have a ton of flavor. We're going to go in with a cup of washed, uncooked rice. That rice will cook once we put them in the cabbage rolls and in the stock. Lastly, we're going to go in with about 2 tablespoons of flour to thicken the gravy up a little bit. And while I mix this in, I'm going to send it back over to Jess with more facts about Serbia.
I'm not even going to pretend like Serbia's history has been easy for me to wrap my head around. I've done a lot of reading, a lot of note-taking, but I've tried to boil it down to the main key points to the best of my understanding. The Balkan states have gone through a lot of changes in the course of their existence, so it was a lot to learn, but too much to put into this video. So if you're interested, I highly recommend going to YouTube and searching Geography Now, where they do a very entertaining and a very in-depth explanation on the history of Serbia and the Balkan states. Throughout the centuries, Serbia has been ruled by various empires, starting with the Roman Empire from 167 BC. In fact, 17 Roman emperors have been born in what is now modern-day Serbia. Other empires that have ruled Serbia have been the Ottoman Empire and the Austro-Hungarian Empire. In 1918, Serbia became a part of the Kingdom of Yugoslavia, which later became a socialist state under the leadership of Josip Broz Tito. During World War II, Serbia was occupied by Nazi Germany. The resistance movement, led by Yugoslav partisans, fought against Axis powers, contributing to the liberation of the country in 1944. The ruler Tito died in 1980, and soon after began the breakup of Yugoslavia. During this time, Serbia went through a period of political turmoil and a series of conflicts, including the Bosnian War, the Croatian War, and the Kosovo War. These were said to be the deadliest conflicts in Europe since World War II. On June 25th, 1991, the Declaration of Independence of Slovenia and Croatia effectively began the end of Yugoslavia's existence. By April 1992, the further declarations of independence by two other republics, Macedonia and Bosnia and Herzegovina, left only Serbia and Montenegro left within the Federation. In 2006, Montenegro and Serbia declared independence, and that officially ended the Union of Yugoslavia. In 2008, Kosovo declared independence from Serbia. Although Serbia has vehemently opposed this move, it has been recognized by the US and many other European Union states. Today, Serbia is a democratic country and is a candidate for membership in the European Union, although the process relies heavily on needing to normalize relations with Kosovo.
So before we stuff these, we're actually going to cut this vein out right here on each piece of cabbage. As you can tell, I got two different plates here. These are the ones that came out clean when I peeled them off the cabbage. These are the broken ones, but we're gonna be using these in the dish when we make our broth and put the rolls in. So if you do break any, put them on the side because they will be useful. So we're just gonna kind of fillet these right off. Nothing wild. All right, we are ready to start filling these. Jess made a good point. These smell like they've been pickled. Just a quick 30-minute boil in some vinegar and water. You got a quick pickled cabbage. So let's give this a go. The consistency of this filling is perfect. I'd say about 2 tablespoons I just put in there. And we're gonna pretty much roll these like a burrito. Wow.
How about that?
Now we're just gonna set these to the side and we continue. What does that filling remind you of?
It reminds me of lettuce wraps.
Lettuce wraps, yeah, you're right. That's what it is.
From P.F. Chang's.
Yeah. So I fold a lot of burritos. I love burritos. So we're gonna go side there, and we're just gonna tuck and roll.
Killing it.
Thank you. I would have never thought cabbage would have this much pliability. Is that the word?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, without it tearing.
Without it tearing,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it was tearing pretty easy when I was taking the leaves off of the cabbage, which I found out if you kind of boil the whole cabbage first, it'll fall off a lot easier.
Interesting.
If it's cold, it's gonna be like more stiff, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get these in the pot, I'm gonna send over to Jess to tell you a little more about Serbia.
Serbia is home to many famous athletes, including Novak Djokovic, one of the greatest tennis players of all time, and Nikola Jokic, who currently plays basketball for the Denver Nuggets and just won the NBA's Most Valuable Player Award for the 3rd year in a row. The inventor and scientist Nikola Tesla was also Serbian. Born in modern-day Croatia to Serbian parents, the inventor is most known for his 300 patents, the invention of alternating current power, Tesla coil, the radio, the neon lamp, and many, many more inventions.
All right, we are ready to get these in the pot. But first, before we put these in, we're actually gonna add some oil to the bottom of this pot. I don't even have the pot on yet. There's no big rush here because this is gonna be simmering for about 2 hours. And you don't want anything to burn. And we're gonna be adding water, so you'll understand in a second, because I'm gonna be adding paprika into that oil. And that's just really gonna add color. I think that's all paprika does.
I think so.
I mean, this is smoked paprika, so it does probably have a little smoky flavor, and then for the rolls, we're gonna add our discarded leaves here to the bottom. We're going to Layer the bottom here completely. Now we have some smoked pork hocks that we're gonna go in. I think I might only just put one in here. The recipe that they were making, they had 60 of these guys. And they used multiple pieces of pork, but I think that one is just gonna be fine. Next, we're gonna add some bay leaves. I just go with 2. And now we add our rolls. Just try to be careful when you add these in so they don't fall apart. All right, now we're gonna do just about the same thing. We're gonna add another layer of cabbage leaves. And then put our final 4 rolls on top of that. All right, we'll add our remaining 4 in there, right on top. Top it with the remaining cabbage leaves. Lastly, we're gonna fill this up with water. So we're gonna bring this up to a boil, then we're gonna drop it to a simmer and put a lid on it, and we're gonna let it cook for about 2 hours. Be careful not to, you don't wanna stir any of this, you don't wanna mess with it at all, for the sake of the cabbage rolls not coming apart. So put a lid on it, step away, and let it do its thing. So while this cooks, I'm gonna send it back over to Jess to tell you more about the country of Serbia.
Serbia is the second largest exporter of raspberries in the entire world. And in Europe, Serbia is the #1 exporter of plums, apples, prunes, and pears. Serbia is home to 5 national parks. Scattered throughout the country, the parks vary, boasting deep gorges and rivers, ski slopes and gorgeous mountain ranges, and huge forests. Serbia is said to be a nature lover's paradise and offers a truly serene experience, with most of the land being off the radar of tourists, which, after watching many videos of these national parks, I'm convinced I'm ready to go to Serbia. It looks absolutely breathtaking. Serbian culture is steeped in rich tradition, from dance to cuisine and many festivals that happen throughout the year. People in Serbia are noted to be very social, kind, and outgoing. Family is very important in the Serbian culture. It is not uncommon to see 3 generations living under one roof in perfect harmony.
All right, it's been about 2 hours and the big reveal is here. You excited?
I'm so excited.
It smells really good.
It smells delicious.
You can really smell the pork. That hawk in there is really causing some major delicious fumes. Delicious fumes. Now, bit curious to see if these stayed together. And also if we can get them out without them falling apart. I see it going this way, so it means it's probably, I don't want the spoon to open it up. I'll grab another spoon. Oh, that one's kind of trying to come apart. It smells so good. All right, the time has come. 3+ hours later. Nah, probably 2.5, I'd say.
Smells delicious.
Serbian Sarma on the menu tonight. The house smells delicious.
Yes, it does. Oh, it smells so good.
Burnt your face off?
Mm-hmm.
Hot tamale.
Hopefully we just took a brief intermission while I cooled that down in my mouth. Okay. First of all, so good.
Mm-hmm.
When this was cooking, it smelled like a long line of family heritage. And that's what it tastes like. Like it feels like something that it tastes like something that someone's grandma would make for you, and you're like, this has been made for a very long time and it's so delicious, and it feels like culture. I don't know how else to explain it, but it feels like this goes back a very long ways.
Mm-hmm. It does.
In the very best way. Wow.
Definitely need a knife.
Too hot?
Uh-oh.
Oh.
It's hot though. Grandma's cooking.
Right?
The cabbage still has a ton of crunch,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's been simmering for a couple hours. That's really, I don't think I've ever had stuffed cabbage.
I don't think I have either.
It's really good.
So good.
You can even see the oil, probably from the meat, I'm guessing, and it gives it like a buttery, smooth, like without any like bread or potatoes, like something starchy, hearty. It feels like it's that though. It gives you that like kind of
Satisfaction.
of like, oh, I just feel like I had just like a hearty meal.
Yeah.
It is more like a healthy dish.
Yeah, with the cabbage.
As far as that like
Comforting.
comforting. That's a comfort. That's go to grandma's. And she, like Jess said, she's been making that. Her grandma's been making that. And when you walk into her house, it smells like this.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm about to have a great meal.
Yes.
And probably some dessert behind it.
Oh, yeah.
Something.
Mm-hmm. I really like it too because in my childhood, I did not like cabbage.
Yeah.
But this is so good. Like, it doesn't taste like the cabbage that I remember from back in the day.
Yeah. Put it in terms related to something that we've eaten. The filling, I was like, what does this remind me of? And it was just nailed it right on the head. P.F. Chang's lettuce wraps. A lot of people have had them. It's that same type of filling with the rice and the beef. And then you just wrap it in a different type of leafy green and simmer it in an amazing broth. And you got yourself a home cooked meal. I mean, that's what it is. If you could say, if there was home cooked meal on a Sunday afternoon at grandma's, I mean, you're eating dinner around 3:45, 4 o'clock. It's weirdly early, always. But I think there's no other way it should be. Coming off of a nap, and you just go right into that. Sign me up. And like a cold winter day.
Oh, yeah.
That goes cold, 65 degree Florida. Well, Serbia, that was delicious. Like I said earlier, that meal is very popular around that part of the world. I'm sure there's different things that you can do. We saw different techniques on how they make their broth, how they even roll the cabbage rolls, like different tucking techniques and all this. And it was really cool to see all that and see a lot of tradition involved with this. And we are happy to be a part of it.
Yes. And it really was not a hard meal to make, and it wouldn't take that long besides just the simmering in the pot. So this is something you could definitely like make ahead of time and then let it simmer and make a lot at one time too.
If you're feeding a lot of people, this is something you can do in the morning. You could probably, I'd imagine you could let that simmer for as long as possible. I don't think you can overdo it with that. So, great meal. Can't wait to get. I think I'm gonna be able to have 4 of these tonight. We got 8 total.
Yes.
Can't wait to add that to the Reeves cookbook. Thanks to Serbia. Thanks to cabbage. Well, that was the episode. The time has come. Some would say, some if any, I don't know if anybody said this, but one of the funnest parts of the episode, the mystery that lies within that bucket hat right now. Where will we head to next?
Where will we?
Is that a bad or a good omen?
I think it's good.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Where will we be next week? Where will we have learned about a country next week at this time? Hey, 2 weeks ago we learned about Burundi. Never even had heard of it. Now I've gotten to share some facts with people that didn't know what Burundi was, and it was a pleasure to do so. It was really cool.
And then we went to Serbia.
Made cabbage rolls for the first time.
The home of Nikola Tesla.
Yep.
All right.
All right, here we go. We're picking. We're getting in there. I'm gonna go with. I'm just gonna say Europe.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep it broad.
I'm gonna say Central America.
Ooh, I'd like to go back there. In 3, 2, 1.
Lebanon.
Ooh.
Asia.
Interesting. I know that Lebanon is a country. Don't know anything else about it. Can't wait to learn about it.
Let's go to Lebanon.
It's in Asia?
Hope so.
Could be always. We're about to find out. All right, that's a wrap on episode 11. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here next week for episode 12 of Cooking Around the Planet. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
Oh. What you think? What you think? Is that good, bud? Is that good?